My topic is censorship in the media. I became interested in this topic when one of the librarians at Eastern came to speak to my class about the banned book list. She had made a point to say that she orders almost every single book on that list because she believes we should form our own opinion about the book ourselves and not just base it off of someone else's judgment. I became very intrigued by this because it really made me start thinking of who are these people that get to judge what I can and can't read, or what my students can and can't read that I can't even give to them. I know one of the books specifically is The Diary of Anne Frank, and the only reason it's been on the banned book list is simply because it has a 1 or 2 page scene about her going through her puberty, which is a little ridiculous to me because if you give that to girls at that age, they can relate to it, and I find when I can relate to a book, I can get more into it and more excited about it to read. So I found pretty high academic significance in this topic because you're keeping things from people that might even encourage them to be a more active reader or pay more attention to the news or the media or anything really specifically. So if you're keeping it from them, they're not getting all of the straight facts and they're not getting everything they need to know. And when not all the facts are there, the people are just going to start forming their own opinions and their own rumors, and then everything's just going to become a jumbled mess that nobody even knows what's right and what's wrong. So my paper basically begins with censorship in society itself. One of the authors, Rogan, discusses how everybody has a personal opinion on every single matter, and not two people are going to have the same opinion. So one who might agree that violence should be shown in the media that we need to know, someone else would say, I don't want to see that. And if everyone gets their way on what should and shouldn't be shown in the media, then nothing's going to be there, and nothing's going to be in our books. And I pretty much agree with that. Not every single person is going to be able to be kept happy. There's another article I found about the many books that have been written about censorship and how there's just so much to censorship, that's so much keeping people from it, and how authors are feeling about their books being put on a censorship because of one simple thing, that they feel like they did something wrong and they need to go back and redo it. Another topic I'm covering is how censorship has been affected throughout history. It hasn't just been a new thing, it's been around for a long, long time. There's many articles giving different reviews to the books that deal with censorship, and dealing with censorship in the cinema too. That it's not just our books and media and news, it's also our TV shows and our movies and anything else you watch. One of the articles by Richter has specific people in it of how the journalists give their feelings about their work is being censored in their own papers and how they have such limitations to what they have to write and how they think it's unfair. And I agree, like, you should be able to write what you feel and keep the facts straight than just having to write so you're not going to offend somebody, because if it's going to offend you, you shouldn't really read it. Another topic that gets covered is music too. A lot of music has been censored from people because of language used or different wording used or anything. And some of it, you'd be amazed of why is this even being banned for itself. There's also a third-person study that looks into the explanations of the support for media censorship, of some people actually support it and they want all of these restrictions put on them. Another topic in my paper that will be covered is how censorship is still used today. Censorship affects people and their education, like I had said in the beginning, and it's going to have an impact on you of what you're allowed to see and what you're not allowed to see. I know personally I went through an amazing educational experience learning about Anne Frank and having an entire, almost, I believe it was like a month long, of everything that went on in the Holocaust, and I really felt well-rounded, educated about it. But if you're going to keep so many things from kids about, oh, you can't read this or you can't see this, they're not going to get the full effect of it, and they're not going to be as interested by it or anything. There's another article I found that is a study of how some teachers specifically tend to self-censor themselves in classes. And I can see that in more people than just teachers, just in everyday life. Everybody's going to self-censor because they're afraid to offend somebody. I know one of the biggest things is, especially at holiday times, people aren't allowed to say Merry Christmas anymore because it could offend somebody who doesn't celebrate Christmas. And it's just getting to a point of so many people's opinions are getting put in that we're not allowed to even talk about anything really anymore. Another article that is discussing how censorship is still used today is journalists who are exposed on their censorship when they weren't supposed to be censoring what they were giving. And it's just an amazing insight. Another topic I have that will be covered in my paper is how society feels about it and how they're planning to deal with it. One of the articles talks about censorship in the cinema. It is a study that these researchers did where they had audience members go in to see different sections of motion pictures, and they record how the audience members feel about seeing it and what they would want to see, what they wouldn't want to see. And I find that very intriguing again because once again, everybody has their own personal opinion. You can't judge it based on a whole group. Another big thing of how people feel today with censorship in society is violence in the media. Should or should it not be allowed? This article by Bach talks about how violence in the media and how people should be able to see everything that's going on. And it talks about censoring it from people is a violation to those people. They need to know what's happening in their town and what's going on. And then I have another one on the contrary saying that violence in the media encourages more violence. And it's one of those of people can see it both ways, and people have their own opinions on what needs to be seen and what doesn't need to be seen. In Rosenberg's article, he talks about how you can fix it and how people can change this on we don't need to see all of the violence and everything that is going on in the world. When I started this paper, I didn't realize how much censorship is still around. When I originally pictured censorship, it was the old time of where they're gonna hide certain books from people where they were actually banned and like illegal to actually read in that place, in that state, or anything. I didn't realize how much is kept from people and how much is hidden in effect to the society, and it really opened my eyes to see that censorship really is strongly still used around in our country. And it's still such a toss-up because it's all basically about personal opinions.